Good morning. Okay, for those of you that don't know me, I am Mrs. Royce, and I am here today to announce the Tech Fair Awards. There were so many new things that we did this year. We have a couple new awards. We had a new schedule that allowed all kids K through 8th to have ample time to view every project. And we implemented a new way to allow all kids K through 8th to have to participate in one of the awards that I'm going to give. And so just a reminder that Tech Fair is also continuously trying to grow and evolve, just like we humans. And I want to give a big shout out to my partner in this, who is Miss Oliva. And it was her idea to open up actually this contest for the Tech Fair shirt that you see that I'm wearing. She had the great idea to open it up to students. So she challenged one of the middle school classes to come up with the design, and we picked it. And George Goo designed this awesome shirt that I would have never come up with, and that was her idea. And so I always want to give credit where credit is due. And so even though it's just my name that is on these awards, please know that she also had a huge part in the Tech Fair. So, okay. So first, I have the Award of Courage. So these recipients exhibited great courage, ventured outside of their comfort zones, and challenged themselves in great capacity. And so for the lower elementary, our first Award of Courage goes to Max Mungle for his Be All Right remix. You can sit right here. Thanks, Max. All right, and for middle school, upper elementary to middle school, our Award of Courage, I challenged these guys. They wanted to make a really scary movie trailer, and I said, hey, just a reminder, we got some littles that are watching this, so I would like to challenge you to put a cute little spin on it. And they did it with such pride, and I'm so proud of them. So Alyssa and Dylan, Award of Courage. For their Quiet Place trailer. Good job, guys. All right, next one is the Award of Perseverance. So these recipients exhibited true perseverance and embraced the idea of not giving up. They displayed grit, determination, and dedication. So for lower elementary, the first Award of Perseverance goes to Maverick Del Rosario. For his awesome robotic dinosaur. We haven't had a robot since like the first year of the Tech Fair, so it's pretty impressive. And the second Award of Perseverance goes to the incredibly detailed Minecraft ALCS by Alex Smale. I'm going to print you another one because I spelled Minecraft wrong. All right, next one is the Award of Creativity. So these students displayed exceptional creativity and ventured in an exciting new direction. So for lower elementary, for their creation of, again, another very detailed Tinkercad house, which when I was talking to them, I learned that it was their first time learning and using Tinkercad. And this work was just, it was so amazing. And so Stephen and Arjo, you guys get the Award of Creativity. And for upper elementary to middle school, this Award of Creativity goes to a game that I would really like to see more levels of because I was actually playing it during my spring break. So Melvin Caballero, you got, for your full release game, the Award of Creativity. Oh, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. And Melvin had a partner, Leo. So Leo, if you could also come up here, I want to make sure that you also receive credit for this work. All right. The award of growth. These students consistently exhibited incredible growth to amplify their skills and progressively flourish in their work. So to get the growth award, you have to at least done one other tech fair project, because I got to be able to see your growth from year to year. And so our lower elementary award goes to Thiago for his wild football game or movie. Dinosaurs in the Wild. I loved the mix of the scenery with the dinosaurs. It's great. And for upper elementary to middle school, the award of growth goes to Allison Wassa for her animated stop motion. All right, we got a couple new awards this year. So as I mentioned, as you might have noticed, when you viewed the projects, you got some thumbs up to be able to put into your favorite projects. And so this year we added the People's Choice Awards. And so for lower elementary, the People's Choice Award went to Maverick for his robotic dinosaur. Here you go, Maverick. And for middle school, it went to Alex Smale for his Minecraft ALCS. And the last award, which is also a new award, we wanted to create, is called the Teacher's Choice Award. And it is for a teacher that we feel, is consistently modeling creativity in their classroom through innovative projects and challenges. And so we wanted you to know that your hard work is seen, appreciated, and respected. And it's so needed for all of us to continue to be inspired to try new things. And so our very first Teacher's Choice Award goes to Mrs. Childs. Because where would we be without our awesome inspirational teachers, right? And us teachers are continually inspired by all of you. And so thank you so much for all of your hard work and your ideas. And if you were thinking like, maybe I want to do tech fair, but I don't know what I would do, just do something. Just do something. It doesn't matter if you have tried it, if you've done it before, even better if you haven't. So I hope to see all of your projects entered next year. And thank you again so much for your time and your effort and your energy.
Thank you. Let's have another big round of applause for all of our Tech Fair participants. Thank you, Ms. Royce, for those awards. And good morning, boys and girls. Yes, it is. Yes. Okay, I gotta have a moment here. Okay, I'm good. God is so good, and welcome to chapel, our first chapel after coming back from Easter break, and it's just good to be together. How many of you during the break went somewhere, anywhere other than your house? Okay, good. How many of you drove? Not you, not you guys drove, but like your parents or your grandparents, but you drove. Okay, good. Did any of you drive to a new place? Like a place you'd not been to before? Very good. Okay, you can put your hands down. Excellent. So this morning, for just a little bit, we're going to talk about getting directions. Have you ever had to stop, or your parents ever had to stop, or grandparents, to get directions for a place? Have they ever had to do that? Or maybe it's a place you've never been before, and you had to figure out to use something on how to find the way to get there. So I want to share a story. So when I was a little boy, I was little at one time. I just want you to know, there was a time. So when I was a little boy, and I was riding with my mom, and we had just moved to a new place. And she was still trying to get her way around, figure out where things were. And so we stopped at a gas station that was in the neighborhood we were moving into, close by. And so she asked the attendant, in those days they had people who actually come out to your cars and put gas in the car, and it wasn't Oregon. So they came and she said, hey, do you know how to get to this place I need to get to? And so she told him where it was. And he had the most interesting answer, and I still remember it, even though I was a little kid. And he said to her, you can't get there from here. You can't get there from here. And so I was thinking, wherever you're going to go, you have to be able to get there from here, or you couldn't get there. But so she tried to not laugh at him, and so she said, and my mom sometimes could be somewhat sarcastic in a good way. She said, well, where should I go to start? And he told her, well, you can't get there from here, but you need to go down the street to this stop sign, and then you can get there from there. I thought it was pretty funny because actually you could start where you were and go to the stop sign, but apparently that was not part of how he was trying to get directions. So it was a little bit confusing. And so my mom thanked him, and we did that, and the rest of the directions were good. So we were able to get to where we were going. So it's always good to have clear directions for anything, but especially if you want to go someplace. So when you want to get directions, like you need to get directions somewhere, what two things do you have to know? What do you think? What two things do you have to know? Two things you have to know. Let's see. Ezra, what do you think? Okay, well, yes, that's part of it, but even before knowing how you're going to get there, two things you've got to know before you can start. Yes, Grant. Well, that's how to drive. That would be a good thing if you're using a car. Even simpler than that, two things you have to know when you want to get directions. You're trying to find directions someplace. Two things you have to know. Nico. Yeah. Say it again. Yeah. Okay, so the place you're going to go. Okay, and what else do you need to know? There's one more thing. So the place you're going to go, but you need to know one more thing. Where? Let me see. Is that Brooklyn? Brooklyn. Okay, well, that would be good to ask kindly for directions. Let me see. Who else is in here? Xavier. Say it again. How to get there? Well, and that's what we're trying to figure out, right? How to get there. So let me help you out here. Two things you have to know. Where are you starting from? So you have to know where you're going to start from. And the second thing is, where are you traveling to? And so you've got to know those two things. Since if you don't know where you're starting, there's not a starting point. And if you don't know where you're headed, then who knows where you're going? And so you have to be able to do that. So once you know where you're starting and where you're going, then what can you use to get the proper directions for your trip? What do you think? What kinds of things can you use to get directions? And just a couple here, and then we'll share some. Kingston, what do you think? Oh, that's neat. That is really important. You do kind of need to know how to spell a place in order to get there. That's true, because sometimes you have to use a few different kinds of things. Yes, the young man standing, both hands in the air. Ooh, get a phone and get the address in. So like the old kind of phones? No, that won't work. You can't just 8490 Farside Avenue, San Diego. No, it doesn't work. Oh, wait, say that again? GPS. Well, that would be one thing that we could start with. Very good. So, but did you know what GPS really is? We talk about GPS all the time. It stands for global, that means like the world, the globe, positioning system. So what it is, it's a satellite-based system. So the satellites that we have up in space help give positioning to where we are. Did you know that it's owned by the U.S. government? It's not owned by Google, just want to throw that out, or even Apple. And they started in 1973 when the first satellites that did those kind of things went up into space. And it's now operated by the U.S. Space Force, which is part of the Air Force. And so it gives you your location and the exact time and other information anywhere on Earth as long as 4 or more satellites have an unobstructed view to you. And there's lots of satellites up there. And it is now currently accurate to a range of 30 to 500 centimeters. So it can give you for your position, like within here, knowing exactly where you are, which is both comforting and scary to know that from that spot, that satellites can figure out where you are. And it's available to anybody with a GPS receiver. There are things like made by Garmin, they're right here, that they have it. All branches of the military and civilian airlines. Have you ever been, any of you ever flown on an airplane? Okay, so those airplanes use GPS, and as do a lot of hikers and climbers, drivers, especially off-road vehicles, and many others who need or want uninterrupted information. The reason why it sometimes is important to have an extra thing other than your phone, although the phone certainly can get some of this, is that GPS works even if you're out of cellular range. And so even if you don't get any cell reception, if you have GPS, it can be used without having any connection to the internet. So that's one way to get directions, is using GPS. And there's other applications with GPS that do come into contact with these. Now, how many of you are familiar with like Google Maps or Apple Maps? This is probably what you talked about when you're talking about your phone, right? Very good. And so a map app, like Google Maps, is a software program. And you can get it on your phone, and it comes like this. And it gives you a layout of a map to help you navigate your way to and from and around a specific place. So Google Maps is the most popular of these, and it provides maps and satellite views. Google Maps can show you a picture of the place, from either driving by or from the air. It's pretty impressive. And now map apps need a connection to the internet. By the way, if you have an iPhone, this is not an ad for iPhones, but if you have an iPhone, it may very well be true for an Android as well, but it has a GPS setting on it that you can activate called location services, so that you can actually tap into GPS in a lot of ways. So that's kind of a cool thing. So most of us probably will use this. In fact, let's see, this is where we are right now, and that's my house in Riverside, so that's where it says how far it goes. And then on vacation, we went from here to Montana, just before the Canadian border, and drove. So I use that because it'll tell you how long it is till you get there, and a lot of other kinds of information, which is pretty neat. So I kind of like that. So that's a map app. But there's another thing we can use, and this is like the dinosaurs, right? It was before we had GPS, and these are what? Maps. Have you ever actually looked at a map? That was one of those things that my dad made sure that I learned. I became the navigator on our family trips, sitting in the front seat. So there's all kinds of different maps. Let me see. This is a map of the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is in North Carolina and Virginia. Yes. See, so it shows you where things are and where roads are. Oh, by the way, and if you can get there in the fall, this is what it looks like on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's really nice. I might be doing an ad for the Blue Ridge Parkway right now. So that's a really cool thing. So that's a special kind of map. And there's all kinds of other maps. This is Southwestern States is on here. And then sometimes, let me put this over here. Sometimes in our family, we'll take a special trip, and this is like 14 years ago. I put the date on here. It was summer of 2010. How many of you were already born in 2010? No, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Slane. I appreciate that. But in 2010, I didn't say 1910, I said 2010. We took a road trip across the country, and I highlighted it so we could remember where we went. All the way across the country and back. That takes a few days to do that. So it's kind of fun because, it's made out of paper, so you can do that. And then we saved this one. So we had it so that we could remember where it was that we went and that exact trip. And then other thing about paper maps is kind of fun. And I use both. I'll use the phone as well as a paper map. But you can fold these up. And you can fold them up so that you already have it in the place where you're going to be going. So that's one of the neat things about a paper map. And then when you're done, you can just, fold it back up again. So that's another place. Yes. That's another thing that you can use to get directions. I'll get some volunteers to help fold those up later. It's like a whole puzzle challenge. So we had GPS, we had map apps, we had maps, but there's something that we can use even, before that we can use it with a map. Sometimes people could use it if they didn't have a map, and that's called a compass. Have you ever seen a compass? Isn't that kind of cool? And there's something very special about a compass, because a compass, if it's really actually working, a compass always points where? Oh, say it. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Compass always points north. So let's see. Okay, so there is north right there. So if I need to go northeast, then I would have to turn this direction because north is always straight. So if I go that direction, I'm going northeast. If I go that way, I'm going east. And it tells you the different directions. And you can use this with a map. There's another kind of map called a topographical map, which gives you like elevation. So if you're hiking, you can use this with that, and it's pretty cool. But if you have a smartphone, you have one on your phone. Did you know you have one on your phone? So let's see. It says, let's go over here. So it gives the directions. See, so if I'm going this way, so there's north. I don't have to lay it down like another kind of compass like this. North, and it gives exact location. 34 degrees, 7 hours, 59 minutes north. 117 degrees, 35 hours, 15 minutes west. Minutes and seconds west. And it says that on this spot, the elevation is 1,500 feet above sea level. And so it gives you that information. That is even more specific information than is on here. So that way, if you had to know a direction or give a place for exactly where you're located, this can tell you. And so that's kind of a neat thing. It always points north, so you can use that. Now, before that, way back in the days when they were trying to, for the first time, cross the oceans in wooden vessels, they used a thing called a sextant. And what that is, you've probably seen pictures, but it's a navigation instrument, and it measures the distance between two visible objects. And so the primary use was to measure the angle between an astronomical object. What do you mean by astronomical object? Thank you. Who said stars? Woo! Good job. Between like the stars and the horizon, so that you could figure out where you were going. There's an old song called "The Stars Are with the Voyager Wherever He May Go," which the idea is you could use that to navigate, to figure out where you were going based on the stars. And that's how they determined if they were on course or not when the early days of exploration, which is pretty amazing. And that they actually got here and they were able to get places. So over time, the things that we use to get directions is really, it's amazing what we can. We went from having this on a boat to having satellites all over around the earth to tell us exactly to this little spot where we are at any time. That's pretty cool. Nice to be able to have directions, but that's a direction to a place. That's a direction to like someplace on earth that we want to go. But how do we get directions for life? Because it seems to me like getting directions for life is really important, at least as important as that, and actually a whole lot more important. So where do we go to get directions for life? What do you think? What do you think? Is that Noor? Noor, where do we go? Very good. We go to God. And what's God's word? Bible. That's right. There you go. And this is like the best map that we've got and that we need for the road to life, the directions for life. So there are, and there's lots of verses, but there's 5 verses on finding God's direction that kind of jump out. And so here's the first one, which is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. So in this getting directions for life, as we're trying to do the best thing, live the best kind of life, make the best decisions, then the Bible says that the first part of that is to do what? Trust in the Lord. Very good. With all your heart. I mean, with all of us, all of who we are. And don't just lean on the stuff we know. Because we want to lean on God because God knows how much? Everything. That's right. On count of 3, say everything. 1, 2, 3. There's nothing that God doesn't know. He knows all of that. And so it says, in all your ways, acknowledge him. So that means in everything that we do, everything we do, we're to acknowledge him. We're to recognize who he is. We're to make sure that we go to him and ask him. And it says, if we do that, he will make straight our paths. Psalm 32:8 says, I will instruct you and teach you in the what? The way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. And so God will help us. He instructs us. He is one of our teachers. In fact, he's the great teacher, the master teacher. And so he says he'll teach us in the way we should go. So in this journey of life, figure directions, he is the one who does that. And he says, and I will counsel you with what? What does that say? Right there, my eye upon you. Now, this is really interesting. Sometimes we forget that God sees everything we do all the time. Or we want to forget, or we want him to not do that. But it says that I will counsel you, I will guide you, I will talk to you, I will help you with my eye on you. It says, because I always see you. Like if we never feel seen in that good way, remember, God always sees us. He knows everything there is about us. And so he will use that and teach us in the way we should go. Isaiah 30:21 says, and your ears shall hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. When you turn to the right or when you turn to the left. And there's more context there that we don't have time to talk about this morning. But the bottom line truth of this is this, that God guides us where we need to go. And not just on a map, but he guides us in the decisions we need to make. He's the one who will be that small voice, that quiet voice in our heart that says, this is what you should do. Or don't do this. Instead, do this. Or this is the way that you should go. When we should turn to the right or to the left, or not at all. Psalm 119:105 says, and it's in our what? We said it this morning. Pledge to the Bible. Very good. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So very good. Excellent. So when we are on this journey of life, when we're living our daily life, it says his word, the Bible, is that lamp to our feet. It's that light to our path. No matter how dark it is, his word, the Bible, the word of God, the things he has said and says to us through his Holy Spirit, those are the things that light our way. So even when it looks really hard, like I'm not sure where I'm going, God makes it possible and shows us where to go. And then the last of those, the 5 verses I wanted to share, says, the heart of man, that's people, man, woman, boy, girl, plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. And so what this means is you and I might have an idea, a plan for our life, or choices that we've made for us. But fortunately for us, God at times will change how we are stepping. He'll change our direction. Because in our heart, we want to do something and do a certain thing. But there are times when God knows if we do that, it won't be good for us. And so he establishes our steps. So if we're about to step, oh, nope, better go here instead. And God does that for us. So in all of these things, God is saying, I will show you the way for your life. I'll show you the things that will not only please God, but be good for us. And so that's part of what, that's really the way that we can live in such a way so that we can get God's directions. Because God's direction for our life will always be perfect. And every once in a while, even when we use these really cool things, every once in a while, we'll pull something up on the phone, on the map, on like Google Maps, and it won't always be right. I remember a time when we were driving, and all of a sudden it started to say, make a U-turn, make a U-turn. Well, we were on an interstate highway going 70 miles an hour, and then it showed suddenly that we were in the middle of a field, and it was definitely not right. And so sometimes even the coolest stuff is not exactly accurate. But the person who never makes a mistake, who's always accurate, is God. And he wants to be that person who we come to get the perfect directions that we need for our life, to live in such a way that we help each other and that we please the Lord and that we take care of ourselves. All of those things happen when we do the things that God says in his word and the Spirit says to us in our life. So that's the best way for us to get directions. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for the truth that you give direction to our life. And thank you for all the tools that we have for when we need to go places and to do things. And it's really amazing that we've gone from having a sextant way back in the day to having satellites up in space to help us know where to get to where we need to go. But even more importantly, Father, is we need to know the direction for our life that helps us and helps those around us and that makes you happy. So thank you for your word. Thank you for the Bible. Thank you for how you guide us in the way everlasting. And so give us a great day today. Guide our steps as we look to you. And thank you for this wonderful time of year. Keep us safe and give us a great day. In Jesus' name. And everyone said, Amen. Love you guys very much. Have a great, great day. Follow his directions and your teachers.